Hi, Bagel.
Hi, Moby.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
So we're trying something a little bit different for our end of year episode.
Okay.
We normally record audio because it's a podcast. So, and also I find great comfort in stating the obvious. So we have a podcast called Moby Pod, and it's audio.
That you're listening to right now.
And recently, as in a few months ago, we started trying to add in a little video version. And our friend and coworker, Mike Formansky, was doing the filming. And we even got very fancy, great cameras to do the filming. So there's two problems. Problem one, and none of this impacts the audio in the slightest, but problem one is Mike Formansky is currently in Connecticut. So he's not here in Los Angeles where we are. Problem two, I don't know how to use the new fancy cameras.
Uh-oh.
So what I've tried to do is set up my old cameras myself and record the audio and set up the video as well. The reason I say this is if there's something really wrong with either the audio or the video, it's my fault because I'm the one who set everything up. Maybe I even forgot to turn the cameras on. So if you're watching this on video, that means that I haven't done a disastrous job, but there's a good chance I've done a bad job. That's my caveat. I'm sure I'll have more caveats as we get into this.
You love a good caveat.
I do love without caveats and guilt, I probably wouldn't get out of bed in the morning.
Great. No, I love that sense of taking accountability. And I think that's something we all need to bring into 2024.
So there's one other thing I wanted to mention. 2023 has been a stressful year.
Oof.
I mean, all years are stressful, but 2023, something about it, I don't know why. Like 2022 was stressful. 2021 was stressful.
Remember 2020? Whoa.
Boy, so much, all these stressful years. But something about 2023 has felt like a weird level of stress.
It feels like a certain kind of like culmination. It feels like a culmination of collective stress. Like it's all just kind of like building and building and building. And there's, people are getting angrier and scarier. And, I think that we're all just building on stress on stress on stress.
I completely agree. And I like culmination and accumulation.
Because I think of like cumulative effect.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a word. If it's not, it should be.
Yep. So cumulation. And what seems to me like what's happened is the quality of stress, and maybe it's just me, but I don't know, is it's gotten weirder. Like, for example, 2020 was incredibly stressful because COVID happened. Like we had a global pandemic, and for almost everybody alive, that was completely unprecedented. But so it was this weirdness. But it was almost like we were in it together. Like we're all dealing with the lockdowns. We're all dealing with illness. We're dealing with, the economy collapsing. Like it was this sort of shared, granted, there was a lot of schisms within that, but there was like a shared sense of solidarity to an extent. Many of us were experiencing the same thing at roughly the same time. But this year, I don't know why, maybe I'm just overstating it, but it felt strange. And this last month, especially, for some reason personally, has been very stressful. So you and I had talked about doing this end of year episode, and originally you had a great idea. Would you mind sharing your great idea with the people watching and listening?
Well, it came from a personal goal of mine, which is By
the way, that sound, in case that was me talking into a teacup, which I just realized is a really cool special effect. Ready? So,
Lindsay, will you please tell us about your goal? Your special goal.
For some reason, your voice has this like deep, powerful timbre when you talk into the teacup.
Yes, it's true.
It's
Sorry,
Darthy.
Bagel.
It's super Darthy.
Bagel
you're
got
upsetting
scared.
Bagel.
I'll never do that again, Bagel.
Bagel's like, what the? I have this personal goal, which is I really want to learn how to DJ. I have a bunch of friends that are great DJs. I love music so much. I love the idea of being able to manipulate music and, do something maybe even
Make people
fun
dance
or funny
and play
to me.
mashups and do all sorts of stuff. Yep.
So I was thinking, I wonder if I know anyone with any DJing experience. And then I was
And
like,
you looked across the room and you saw, I was going to say middle-aged bald guy, but I think I might even be too old to be middle-aged anymore. I think I'm just an old person.
I think when you're in your 50s, that's the middle, right? I think 50s
Okay.
counts as middle age.
Sure, I thought I guess maybe
once
like
you go
100
into
years
60,
ago,
then you're
30s was
old.
middle age.
Yeah.
So I'm on the verge of no longer being middle-aged, but you looked across the room and you saw this currently middle-aged bald guy and you thought, I know someone who can teach me how to DJ.
Yes, just like they did in the olden times.
And the olden times of, tell me again what 1997 was like. So that was our original plan, was to end the year with a DJ lesson and a conversation about DJing and maybe even the DJ mix. But then we were talking more recently and I thought, you know what? This has been a stressful year. What if we end with a meditation? Which on one hand, I'm hesitant to do that because I'm already an object of ridicule for a lot of people. And I feel like being a vegan in Los Angeles, doing meditation, it's just I've just squared the circle.
You've become a caricature
even
of
more
yourself.
so. Yeah. I've taken I've completed my caricaturedness. Even when Eminem dressed up like me in the music video where he had me beaten up, he dressed up as me as a meditator, doing yoga and meditating. So maybe this was my destiny. If Eminem preordained it and foretold it, I'm supposed to be a public meditator as determined 20 some odd years ago by Eminem.
Thanks, Eminem.
Yeah.
I also thought back in the day he was predetermining. I had a real fear that someone would put anthrax on a tampon of mine because that's what he would threaten to do to people in his songs. Okay, in one song. And so it was a real fear of mine, really having to double check those things.
Wow.
It was scary to me.
I mean, it could be a bigger conversation about misogyny in popular culture and how ubiquitous that is and how profitable it is for so many people. But maybe
it's neither here nor there for the meditation conversation.
Yeah. So next year, at some point, I promise I'll teach you how to DJ.
Amazing.
Using my old-timey DJ equipment. I don't, most people DJ with laptops now. I never learned how to do that. So I have a bunch of equipment like turntables, even tape decks and CDJs and mixers, and it's all physical. So I'll teach you how to DJ with all that stuff, but then you might have a skill that's the equivalent of learning how to run a telex machine.
Do you want to know how I learned to type? On a typewriter.
Okay.
And I feel like this is the musical version of a typewriter. It looks cooler. It's a little steampunk. But I feel
like the idea that technology that's 10 years old is steampunk.
I know.
Yeah. So in the new year, we will do a DJ episode of Moby Pod. But for today, let's have a meditation episode.
I could really use it.
Okay.
I live a life that I think a lot of people would assume includes a lot of meditation, but I hate meditating. I hate it. It stresses me out. Which is probably, I've heard people say that if you fear meditation or you don't want to meditate, that means you should be meditating that much more.
Well, so in a way, hearing you say that you hate meditation, I don't want you to suffer, but it actually makes me happy because it's much easier to work with that. And what I mean by that is if you said, oh, I meditate 7 times a day and I have reached transcendent levels of bliss and nirvana and insight, I'd be like, oh, well, maybe I'm not the right person to do this. So, but I will say almost everybody I know wants to meditate. They want to have the benefits of meditation. They even will like invest in all sorts of meditation paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia?
Is it paraphernalia or paraphernalia?
I think it's paraphernalia.
Okay. So, people will download apps and they'll buy little cushions and they'll buy fancy meditation timers and they will go on retreats. But almost everybody I know hates meditating and does everything in their power to avoid meditating.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I do have an app called Insight Timer that is free and incredible, but
you
don't
never use it.
I don't like to use
Yeah.
it. I'll use it if I'm actually having like a panic, or if I'm utterly distraught, or if somebody wants to meditate with me. But here's something that I was thinking about.
Okay.
The word meditate sometimes feels overwhelming to me. I heard someone recently describe it as just like sitting in silence and just not having stimulus or stimuli for some period of time is actually incredibly beneficial. And somebody just defining it as sitting in silence made me feel like it was a little more achievable. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I have a dirty secret.
Okay, I'm scared.
And I figure I'll reveal this in public. I've already, the world has ridiculed me. I am an object of derision for so many people. And now I'm just going to add to that. I have been an on again, off again meditation teacher for a pretty long time.
What would you say that entails?
So I was raised by hippies. And my mom used to try and get me to meditate with her when I was very young. And when you're 9 years old and you want to watch cartoons and throw rocks at the side of the house, you don't want to sit and meditate. But my mom was into all sorts of stuff like the I Ching, Krishnamurti, tarot cards. She was a new age hippie. Clearly, I just wanted to be a punk rocker. I didn't want to meditate. But then one of my oldest friends, Eddie Stern, we knew each other from the punk rock world of New York, and he became a yoga teacher. And I started doing some yoga classes with him a long time ago. And at the end of the yoga classes, there'd be some meditation. And I thought to myself, that's kind of interesting. I didn't keep doing the meditation, but that was sort of my introduction. And then as the 90s progressed, my panic attacks got worse and worse to the point where I was enrolled in a study at Columbia University of people with crippling chronic panic disorder. It was bad. And I tried everything. I tried medication. I tried cognitive behavioral therapy, all of which works. But I also started meditating, not thinking, okay, I'm doing great and the meditation's going to help me to do better. The idea was, I am debilitated by panic attacks. I will try anything. And so I started doing a whole bunch of different types of meditation. I researched Zen meditation, some Native American meditative traditions, different Buddhist meditation traditions. I would do anything. I would go to classes. And as time passed, I realized I'd learned sort of how to meditate. And I learned some tricks about meditating because I'm not a professional meditation teacher. I've never been paid for it. I would never charge for it. And a lot of people who teach meditation, they get paid for it, which is sometimes great, but it maybe also gives them a different perspective on getting people to meditate. And I'm looking at it from the point of view that I hated meditating, but I needed to do it to try and get my brain to not be so crazy. So, can I give you a couple of little pre-meditative thoughts / pointers?
Sure.
First, there's only one goal of meditation: to benefit you. That's it. There is no, maybe one could argue you could be of service to others if you achieve more calm, but first and foremost, the goal of meditation is for you to benefit, whether it's you, Lindsay, you, Bagel, whoever's listening, this is about you. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to do a good job. There's no criteria. The only criteria is, are you able to get some benefit from it? And so as a result, there's no room for self-criticism, which is hard because all of us are very good at self-criticism. But meditation is supposed to be about you just, no matter what happens, even if you hate it, even if you don't want to do it, even if your mind wanders like crazy, it doesn't matter. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're not trying to, you're not trying to get anywhere, except for maybe having a little peace around your self-criticism. Like bringing a little gentleness to the self-criticism of saying like, oh, I've got my eyes closed. I'm meditating. Why am I beating myself up? Which for some people could be an opportunity for more self-criticism. So that's the first thing is like, you're not trying to, there's not like these ancient traditions that you have to do perfectly. It's not religion. It's not medicine. It's simply what is going to benefit you right now during the course of the meditation. And so like any idea that like, oh, you're supposed to do it perfectly, or you're supposed to impress the other meditators or your teacher or God or whatever, it's like all that throw out the window. This is just a time to create some calm and benefits for yourself.
Amazing.
Yeah. The second part, what was the second part? Is basically the idea that no matter what happens during the meditation, it's okay. If your mind wanders, that's fine. If you get bored, that's fine. If you're annoyed, that's fine. If you're angry, if you're sad, anything that happens is fine. Even if you do a 20-minute meditation and for 19 of those minutes your mind is wandering, it's fine. There's no wrong way to meditate. In some traditions there is, like if you're, doing Zen meditation at some freezing cold monastery in a mountain in Japan and you start to fall asleep, you get hit with a stick. That's interesting. I don't necessarily want to do that.
That sounds kind of fun.
I mean, they're supposed to just tap you, but I think they go kind of extreme, and sometimes they'll actually beat people with sticks.
Okay, that's a lot.
So,
but I wouldn't mind a little stick tap.
Yeah,
keep me on the path.
And if you fall asleep, you fall asleep. No big deal. Like there's no way to self-criticize, and there's no way to do it wrong. And if you keep that in mind, there shouldn't be room for hating meditation. And if you hate it, don't do it. Or if you hate it, there's so many types of meditation. There's transcendental meditation, which is the basics of TM are very rudimentary. You're given a mantra and you repeat it for 20 minutes. That's it. You can evolve from there. But Zen meditation is very, very basic. Vipassana. There's so many different types of meditation. If you don't like the one you're doing, either stick with it until you do like it or try something else. I've both learned and taught and done so many types of meditation. I think of it like exercise. Like if someone said to you, the only way to get in shape is canoeing, you'd be like, yeah, canoeing's fine. Nothing wrong with, I like a good canoeing, but you also like walking and tennis and yoga. And or if someone said there's only one type of fruit you're allowed to eat, you're only allowed to eat strawberries, you'd be like, what about grapes? Grapes are really nice. I like oranges, apples. Like meditation is like that. There's so many, they're all fine. They're all good. And the only criteria, as I mentioned before, to repeat myself, is it's supposed to benefit you. Any thoughts, Bagel or Lindsay?
Yeah, I feel like that really covers it. My thing that happens to me is that when I start meditating, I feel so unbelievably jittery, restless, anxious, like desperate to get out of it, desperate for it to be over, desperate to look at my phone or pay attention to Bagel or do do anything. Like just sitting still is so stressful to me. Which is why I don't do it, because the stress of being in that space of silence is so intense for me.
So do you know, just if you had to guess, like the percentage of people who probably have the same response?
90?
Yes, definitely between 90 and 100%.
Yeah.
Everyone feels that way. Everyone wants to check their phone. Everyone wants to watch something on TV. Everyone wants to go jump up and make some toast or something. Like
Toast.
everybody wants to do that. The difference is finding something where you can observe that feeling and you sort of slowly let it pass. And if it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. It's no big deal. The worst thing would be to criticize yourself for having that reaction.
Right. Yeah, I don't have any criticism around it because to me it feels like the most natural thing. Like, yeah, this is annoying.
Yeah.
You know?
What I've, and so the meditation we're going to do today,
Is it guided? I do like
It
a
is,
guided
yeah,
meditation where someone's like, now you're walking through rose bushes.
you're walking through rose bushes and you're being attacked by hordes of wasps.
And you don't care because
Yeah.
you're meditating.
Yeah, and you've got thorns in your eyeballs, but everything is fine because you've reached a state of transcendent bliss. So the meditation we're going to do is, you've heard the expression, the overused expression that's probably in like every new agey magazine or home decor magazine or everything, is mindfulness. So mindfulness is one of those words like surrealism or Zen, which had a very specific meaning when it was first coined, that has gone on to mean basically nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like surrealism, because I was obsessed with the original surrealists. Like when someone looks at something that's weird and they're like, that's so surreal. It's like, no, actually surrealism is a term invented by Andre Breton to talk about going beneath consciousness.
Didn't
Sir?
know that.
Sir or sub?
I just thought it was
Above.
like elephants with long legs.
Yeah, elephants with long legs. It's basically all of the surreal techniques. And I'm going a little off subject, but all of the techniques of like automatic writing, collage, painting, it was enabling the artist, the writer, and the viewer to transcend everyday reality. So they weren't making weird for the sake of weird. They were making weird because they had just learned about psychotherapy. They had just learned about Freud. They had just learned about the subconscious. So this was a way of transcending that and connecting with it. So that's my little sidebar about how terms like Zen, people are like, Zen is supposed to be, oh, it's calm. It's like, you mean getting hit by a stick while you're meditating is calm? Like that's a Zen tradition. They even have names for the stick. I can't remember it, but
I can imagine a certain type. I'm really into the stick hitting for some
Okay.
reason. I'll look into that
maybe
later.
for meditation part 2, we can just hire someone to come and hit you with a stick. That
I don't
doesn't
think
sound
you'd have
fun
to pay
me.
somebody. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who'd like to do it for
Aw.
free.
No, everyone likes you.
Well,
Okay. So, oh boy, I'm rambling on like a caffeinated lunatic because I am that. So, okay, so this meditation, it's going to be a basic mindfulness meditation. And what I would really like to say is, as I mentioned, if your mind wanders, fine. Everybody's mind wanders. If you're annoyed and tired, everybody gets annoyed and tired. If you get sad, that's okay. It's like, just sort of stick with it. And if you hate it and never want to do it again, then you hate it and never do it again. Like it's no big deal. But maybe this is just an opportunity. It's the end of the year. A lot of people are dealing with stress. This is just an opportunity to sort of like relax for what's going to be about 15 or 20 minutes.
okay, great. One request.
Yes, ma'am.
I just don't make me cry.
Well, I wouldn't make you cry.
Okay.
If you do have emotions, then you have emotions.
Okay.
I don't know how to prevent that, except for maybe I could put on a clown costume, and then the only emotion you'd be having is hilarity.
And concern.
Yeah.
Real concern.
So, the other thing, 2 other things. One, I'm going to play some new ambient music while we're
Ooh.
meditating.
Okay, is this going to be one of those guided meditations where you're like, now you're descending into a basement and now
Not
you're
that
on a
kind.
beach? Okay.
That's more hypnosis, which is great. I'm all in favor. I love that.
I got hypnotized the other day and boy, did I like it.
Yeah.
I just want to stay hypnotized.
Yeah, I love a good hypnotism.
Me
The
too.
other thing, which is profoundly important, is don't listen to this in your car while
yeah.
you're driving.
If you're driving, listen to this later. Just hit pause and come back when you're home.
Yeah, if you're doing surgery, if you are...
I can't imagine people listening to Moby Pod while they're doing surgery.
If you're checking the welds on a spaceship, if you're doing anything that requires focus and being awake, maybe don't listen to this because there's a chance you might fall asleep.
Ooh, what if I fall asleep?
Yeah. And definitely also you want to keep your eyes closed. So that's also a good reason not to listen to this while you're driving.
Yeah. So, just come back to this later. It'll always be there for you.
Yeah. Okay. So do we think we're ready to start?
Well, sure. I'm ready as I'll ever be.
And the other thing I'll say, two other things, is whatever comes up, just acknowledge it. You can just look at it. You don't have to hold on to it. You don't have to push it away. Even if it's really unpleasant, just sort of be like, well, there's something unpleasant. You can even call it unpleasant. You can even say, I hate this. You can say, I'm bored. You can, if your mind wanders, whatever happens, it's okay. It's one of the few times in life where like you can't do this wrong.
Great.
The other thing I'm going to say is no experience is necessary. Like you don't need to be a good expert meditator. I think one of the best qualities in meditation is actually what the New Age hippies would call beginner's mind, where you sort of come at everything fresh and new. So, okay, so you ready?
Well, yeah, I think so.
So I'm going to turn on some nice, quiet, pretty ambient music. And we're going to, you and me and Bagel, and hopefully everyone listening, if they want to, we're going to meditate. If you also just want to listen to me teaching the meditation and ridicule me publicly or privately, by all means, if that makes you happy, God bless, do that.
Great.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm nervous.
Really? Not surprisingly, the first step, just close your eyes.
Okay.
So just take a minute to just sit with your eyes closed. Sort of notice that your breathing is even slowing down just the tiniest little bit from where it was, I don't know, a minute ago. And just notice your breathing in the most basic way. Notice how it makes your chest expand and contract. Notice how it makes your shoulders rise up. And then they fall back down. You can even notice the way the air feels moving through your nostrils. You're not trying to breathe deeper. You're not trying to breathe differently. Just simply noticing any sensation around the breathing. You're not even trying to look for any complicated insights. Just simply noticing. Giving yourself this time to hopefully just relax a little bit. Just notice the breathing. Shoulders going up and down. You don't have to do anything else, just simply noticing any physical sensation while you're breathing. And if your mind wanders, that's fine. Don't worry about it. If you get bored, that's okay. Just simply, in a very lighthearted way, come back to noticing any sensation around breathing. even if the sensations are very basic. Shoulders go up, shoulders come down. Chest and stomach expand, and then they contract. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. Just any physical sensations around breathing. And now, even though your eyes are closed, just simply notice any light that you can see with your eyes. Even just noticing that there is light coming through your eyelids. Just noticing the light. Whether it's kind of brown or gray or green. Not really trying to define it. And obviously, because your eyelids are closed, you can't really see anything, just noticing the light. Again, with your eyelids closed, you're just noticing that there's light. Not looking for insights. Not looking for any great realizations. Just simply noticing the light. And if you notice any patterns with your eyelids closed, you can just simply notice them. Sometimes when our eyes are closed, we see patterns. Little blobs that almost look phosphorescent. Or not. So even though your eyes are closed, whatever you see, just simply be aware of it and notice it. You're not judging it, you're just simply being aware that you can see light. Now draw your attention to your body. And to keep it simple, we'll start with our feet. And while we're noticing the body, if you notice any discomfort or an itch or any stress, try to just observe it and let it go. But if you need to move, by all means move. If you need to scratch an itch, feel free to scratch an itch. Or just notice it and notice how it tends to pass on its own. So notice your feet, whether they're barefoot, in socks, in shoes, just simply noticing how they feel. And then we notice our legs. How they feel, probably wrapped in some sort of fabric, sweatpants, pants, bathrobe. Not looking for big insights, we're just simply noticing how your legs feel, the front and the back, and how the back of your thighs feel pressed against the chair. And also, while we're doing this meditation, if there are any strange sounds outside, dogs barking, sirens, anything, just simply notice them. Don't try to push them away. Don't try to reject them. Just simply acknowledge that they're there. The world can be a noisy place, and meditation doesn't require complete silence. So let's come back to our body, noticing our back. If there's any strain, try and let it go when you exhale. Or again, feel free to move if you need to. Notice your shoulders. You can notice your arms and your hands. And again, there's no way to do this wrong. We're not looking for big insights. We're just simply being aware of these physical sensations. Notice your neck, your scalp, notice the skin on your face and the muscles behind the skin. Just simply noticing. Notice your throat. Your chest. Notice how the parts of your body that are exposed to air feel differently than the parts that have clothes on them. Just simply observing and noticing. And lastly, bring your attention to your stomach. And when you exhale, try to soften your stomach. Feeling your stomach pull back towards your spine when you exhale. We sometimes hold a lot of tension and defensiveness in our stomachs. So when you exhale, just try to let it soften and relax. Now bring your attention to what you're hearing. The obvious sound of my voice and the ambient music playing. but any other sounds you might hear. Your breathing, the sound of your fabric moving and rustling. Even your stomach gurgling, or any sounds that are coming from outside. Just simply drawing attention to these sounds. Not judging them, not holding on to them or rejecting them. Just simply noticing everything that you hear. Even if you hear something annoying or that you don't like, you can just simply acknowledge it. You don't have to like it or dislike it. Just simply notice it. And remember, there's no way to do this wrong. If your mind wanders, that's okay. If you're bored or annoyed, that's also okay. You simply can't do this wrong. And now bring your attention to whatever emotion you might be feeling, or emotions. Happy, sad, bored, annoyed, joyful, depressed. Just simply drawing attention to it. And even if it's a difficult emotion, you're just simply noticing it. Not running away from it. Just simply observing however you might be feeling. And now try to bring your attention to whatever space you're in. The air, the light, the walls. With your eyes closed, just simply expand your awareness. Just simply try to be aware of the space that you're in. How the gravity is pulling you down. How the air molecules are surrounding you and touching your skin. Just simple awareness of the space that you're in. bring our attention back to our breathing. And as we near the end of the meditation, feel free to let yourself move around a little bit. You can maybe stretch your hands, stretch your jaw, and in your own time, when you feel comfortable, feel free to open your eyes. Okay, so Linz and Bagel. How was that?
Oh man, I got sleepy. I was very like the hypnagogic state where suddenly it's like you're entering into like you're like wacky, dreamy type of like, what is that? Why is that raccoon microwaving my dinner? Like that kind of.
Hypnagogic state. Yeah, I love that expression.
Me too.
In case you don't know what hypnagogic is, it's the space between sleep and wakefulness. So
It's one of my favorite places to be
it's very psychedelic.
because it's like hallucinating.
Yeah, you see raccoons
free.
working microwaves. Yeah. So apart from, well, I guess, so any other thoughts? Was that, because you said before doing this that you hate meditation and you get bored with meditation. Did you hate this or were you bored?
I wouldn't say I was bored. I was having a really fun time hallucinating without any drugs. There was a point where, and it'll be really fun to go back and watch, where I kind of like did a little boop.
Great. You needed that. I mean, that's like, if you fall asleep during meditation, clearly you need some sleep. If your mind wanders, then your mind wanders. It's fine. Like you're supposed to, like if you can get to a place of being relaxed and sleeping, nothing wrong with that. Some people would say there is something wrong with that. I'm like, but and in these topsy-turvy modern times, people are so stressed, they rarely find or have the opportunity to relax. And I was talking to an acupuncturist once, and he was basically saying, he's like, when people go to bed, they sometimes pass out. And that's not a good sign. That just means they're so exhausted, their body they don't drift off to sleep. They just pass out immediately.
That's what I always do.
Because we're so stressed and so like agitated during our waking hours that our body's just like, I'm done, and it just shuts off.
Wow. That's not good.
I mean, it's better than staying awake all the time.
It may also be a product of anemia.
Is that what you have now? Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's my new illness.
New self-diagnosis.
Yeah.
So, and for everyone listening or watching, I hope that wasn't too weird. And I hope that maybe you found some calm and that it wasn't an excruciating meditation practice.
I got to say, you have very good, soothing meditation voice.
Thank you.
Wow. See, you did it. No, it really is very, like, you're very good at that. I thought it was great.
Like I said, my embarrassing admission that I've been kind of a meditation teacher on and off for a long time.
It shows.
But also, one of my goals as a meditation teacher is to never be exceptionally good at it and never to do it professionally. Mm-hmm. I like doing it for myself and I like doing it for friends and other people, especially because I feel like I have the ability to maybe draw attention to some of the shortcomings or some of the stumbling blocks that people sometimes have around meditation.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like, do it. Just sit and do it. And you'll get better at it over time. And maybe you'll even grow to like it.
And if you don't get better at it, that's fine. Just do it for 5 minutes. Do it for 3 minutes. Do it for a minute. Like close your eyes and just be aware of what's going on around you. And also, that was a very specific type of meditation.
Called?
Vipassana. That's my version of a Vipassana mindfulness meditation.
Okay.
And one of the things it does is it activates our prefrontal cerebral cortex.
Whoa, is that why that raccoon was making me dinner? Is that cortex?
I don't know what cortex the raccoon in the little chef hat is, but it's the idea that it sort of deactivates the amygdala. It deactivates, it reduces cortisol because you're just being aware of things. Mm-hmm. And what the brain learns, I believe, is that if the brain can pay attention to mundane stuff and neutral stuff, it sends a message to the rest of the brain that everything's okay. Because clearly, like, if your house is on fire, if you're being attacked by wolverines, if something terrible's happening, if you're panicking, your brain thinks, oh no, this is terrible. I have to focus on the thing that's attacking me. Mm-hmm. I have to focus on the panic and the problem. This meditation is sort of a way of saying everything's okay. It might even be boring, but your brain's like, boring is way better than catastrophe.
Right.
So that's why it's all just like you're noticing. You're just being observant. That's the mindfulness part. You're supposed to bring mindfulness to things, and it's just being aware of what's going on. And the brain's like, oh, I guess if we have the time and energy to just simply notice stuff,
then we're not, bear isn't coming into the cave to chase us.
The wolverines are not trying to eat your face.
Yeah.
So that was our meditation. I hope it was okay.
I really liked it.
Okay. Great. So I guess that means it's time for us to wish each other and Bagel and everyone listening and watching a very, very happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Moby and Bagel and everyone listening. What's interesting is that our very first Moby pod was in January of 2023.
It's only been a year? Mm-hmm. Not even a year?
I know.
Wowzer.
I know. So that's a nice thing to celebrate, a year of Moby pod. But also, we have so many more exciting things coming in 2024 with the podcast. So that's something
we're going to write more songs. We're going to have more fact battles. We're going to interview lots of odd, interesting vegans and other people. Mm-hmm. So, one thing I would like to share that I've been trying to teach myself, apart from the ability to transcend time and space and fly at will.
Sure.
One of the things I'm really becoming increasingly aware of is how much energy I give media.
News, social.
Everything, even like basically everything on my phone or everything on cable news. And I have recognized over time, and I hope that this isn't, well, maybe this is just me, but like so much of who I am can be hijacked by media or opinions, and especially media and opinions that I can't control, opinions of people I've never met. And one of my goals for 2024 is to no longer let myself be emotionally, intellectually hijacked by information I can do nothing about or opinions of people I've never met.
Or opinions of people.
Yeah, just recognizing like there's no benefit in letting ourselves feel bad if we don't have to. And I know that might sound like sort of like some new age hippie cliche, but I guess for me, it's so easy to feel bad. It's so easy to like turn on the news or like check CNN or look at social media and just find stuff that's going to make me either feel inadequate or angry or bad about myself. And the end result is just anger and stress.
And fear. I feel like every time I turn on the news, it sends me into a spiral of actual fear.
Yeah.
In my brain, what equates to actual fear.
And I'm not even criticizing the media for that, but that's what they do intentionally. Like if their news report was, oh, let's go talk to Joanna who's in a field with some trees and She's out there looking at flowers. Like they would go out of business in 1 second. Like it's the idea of like keeping us angry, keeping us agitated. And I'm not criticizing them for that, but I'm saying one of my goals for 2024 is to recognize I have the ability to not pay attention, you know?
Or to not let it affect you in that way, to kind of keep your side of the street clean where the news media can do whatever they want.
Yep.
It's none of my business what they do, but I'm going to make sure that I keep my sense of composure and calm and drive to create what I want to create and show up for the people that I want to show up for. And that's all I really need to do.
And the same goes for social media as well. Like, and one of the hardest things for me is to recognize when I'm being hijacked by media, whether it's news media, whether it's social media, whether it's entertainment media, when basically my sense of self and my well-being are being like agitated or really compromised by stuff that's going on outside of me. And so, yeah, sorry to keep repeating myself, but that is one of my resolutions, is to try and be increasingly aware of that and also recognize we don't have to pay attention. You know, if everything we pay attention to just makes us sad, angry, depressed, what have you, like we can be informed, we can be aware, we can work to make the world a better place, but we don't have to live in a state of constant fear and anger and agitation.
Yeah.
Do you have a 2024 resolution?
Yeah. My 2024 resolution is to, how do I put this?
I also have a second one, but
Okay.
I want to hear your first one first.
To not let people, places, or things who I know how they're going to act get upset when they do the thing that I know they're going to do.
It's like an Aesop's fable.
Yes.
Yeah.
To not be mad at the scorpion for stinging me, the frog.
Yeah.
I'm just a little frog who wants to help somebody across the river.
Yeah, it's like, hey, scorpion, you're not going to sting me. And then the scorpion stings you. And the scorpion's like, what do you expect? I'm a scorpion.
So my goal is to, A, not put myself in the position to allow the scorpion to, you know.
Sting your little frog back.
Yeah, exactly. To not give the scorpion the opportunity. But if for some reason that scorpion weasels its way in there, to not be so deeply affected by their terrible nightmare murder stings.
That sounds great. And to,
it's a tall order.
As they say in Al-Anon, like, no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Like if the scorpion's getting ready to sting you, you can just be like, oh, scorpion, yeah, even if you're mad at me, I'm just gonna say no.
Yeah, because I know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
If I say yes or if I waffle, you're gonna sting me and I am going to get really sad and maybe die in the river.
And maybe it's because I'm a little hungry, but you also just said waffle, and now I want to go eat waffles.
I'm so hungry. I was so afraid during that meditation that my stomach was going to growl really, really loud.
Okay, so it's time to go get waffles, nice vegan waffles with vegan maple syrup.
Isn't all syrup vegan?
No, they sometimes in some commercial syrup they put pig fat in it.
Ew!
I know,
what?
I know. We don't even want to talk about it. But my ongoing forever resolution for every year for the remainder of my life is to do more that I can to help animals and to enable, the end of this current status quo that involves 1 trillion animals being killed every year by and for humans. That is my forever daily, New Year's, every waking minute resolution. That's my resolution.
I really love that. And same.
So I hope everyone out there is able to find some peace and calm and happiness. And I hope that you all have wonderful 2024s and that you're healthy and happy. And thank you for joining us in our first year of bizarre, random Moby Pod.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And I'd also like to thank Jonathan Nesvadba for editing this podcast. And I'd like to thank Mike Formansky for editing the video. And I would also like to thank our dear friends at Human Content for their love, guidance, and skills with many Z's that get this podcast out into the world.
And have a wonderful New Year's Eve. If you celebrate that sort of thing, I will be asleep by 9 p.m. because I'm old and that's when I go to bed. So we will see you in 2024. I guess that's everything.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I hope
Happy
you
New
enjoyed
Year.
the meditation. And if you want to ridicule me for being a bald, vegan, old meditation teacher, by all means, if that makes you happy, ridicule away.
Because he's not paying attention anyway.